They do have a timeout. Decide not to use it. Curry, way downtown. Bang! Bang! Oh, what a shot from Curry!
Okay, we're going to go through. We're going to talk about some of our favorite guard targets in fantasy basketball drafts for 2021. As always, I am an idiot when it comes to fantasy basketball, so thank God that we got Garrett here to break things down for us. And what's very exciting is Fantasy News and Brews, Garrett and Johnny, they just released their 2021 fantasy football draft guide. I just checked it out. I mean, they have multiple sets of rankings comparing it to ADP across different sites. They have boom and bust. I mean, they have a ton of stuff here. What's really exciting is we're partnering with Underdog Fantasy this year as well. So if you want this draft guide, all you have to do is go make a $10 deposit on Underdog Fantasy, the best place to go through to your fantasy basketball drafts for 2021. When you make a $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK, you get a max deposit bonus. You get access to the 2021 fantasy football draft guide. All you have to do is send a DM to Fantasy News and Brews on Twitter with the email you signed up for Underdog Fantasy with. And if you use that promo code FLOCK and made that $10 deposit, you are eligible to get that draft guide and you will get it ASAP. Outside of that, make sure you go down there, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment letting us know how stupid we are. And yeah, I think that should be it. Garrett, do you have anything else to say before we get into this video?
No, honestly, all I have left is to say, the draft guide, we put a lot of hard work into. It is a lot of our opinions. Johnny and I actually put our own rankings. We each went through and made our own rankings. We have boom bust. We have links to everything that you could want. We even have the 20 to 2021 player stats so you can compare last year with this year. And yeah, we put a lot of hard work into it. So definitely go use code FLOCK, I believe it is, on Underdog, and shoot us an email in our DMs at Fantasy News Brews or Fan News Brews. We'll link it down low. But anyways, yeah, let's hop right in. Basically, what we're doing today is targets for each position. And today we'll focus on the guards that, just at ADP, these are guys that we want. And a lot of these guys are on the Booms list. Actually, I think all of these guys are on the Boom list for our draft guide. So if you don't want to listen to this video, just the draft guide real quick. Either way works, but let's start it off. This one is going to come to a surprise to no one if they follow us on Twitter or if they watched a couple of videos. First guard that I'm targeting is Bradley Beal. Huge on him this year. The only thing that anyone can say bad about him is his vaccination status. We've already seen a couple of these other guys start to get vaccinated. I think that if Bradley Beal hasn't already, I haven't been keeping up. I think he will, and I think that he'll play this season. So I'm not focusing on that. So this is subject to change if he, is super stubborn against getting vaccinated. But I do think the dude's going to ball out. I think that he's going to be a league-winning second-round pick if you can get him in the second. I'm not even opposed to taking him in the late first. He's going to blow up. There's no more rust. The ball's going to be in his hands. And the number 2 option on this team, I mean, you can argue it's either going to be Kuzma or Dinwiddie. That's not going to be taking away a lot of the load off of Beal's shoulders. Actually, we do like Kuzma, but Beal's going to be the guy. He's going to be the guy to own, and he's going to ball out.
Yeah, I mean, if you're looking at it, he's owed $33 million this year. I doubt that a vaccine keeps him from $33 million. And to go along with it, I mean, if you're looking at projections right now from #basketball.com, like one of my favorite places to look at projections, they do have him currently ranked as the 7th player according to these projections. They have him projected for 31.8 points per game. I mean, also at the same time, I mean, his ADP is down there at the beginning of the second round. You also in your own rankings, if you're looking at the draft guide here, I believe him ranked as your 7th player. And let me see what Johnny has as well. I can't see what Johnny has at the time being, but yeah, you have him as your 7th. I mean,
I have him as my 8th. But I will say that him and Dame Lillard are like neck and neck for me. I know that might get some slack from people, but I would take Lillard over Beal still. But the fact that you can get Beal in potentially the second round is just a no-brainer to me. I think that he's going to ball out. I think that he's going to end up being potentially a top 6, top 5 guy. Johnny's a little low. Johnny has him sitting at 12. So this is kind of my gut feeling here. But I mean, if you look at last year, he finished like 7 or 8 or something like that. He finished number 2 in fantasy points, and he has an ADP of 11 right now. So it's just a no-brainer for me. He's my guy.
I mean, there are some drafts you could realistically think that you could get him in the second. If you're getting him in the second, like in a 10-team league, there's a realistic chance that you could get like Durant and Beal on the same roster.
Yeah. I mean, there's a realistic chance he could fall to the middle of the second round if this vaccine thing doesn't clear up before your draft. which is just insane to me. I mean, you could end up with like James Harden and Bradley Beal, and that right there is a killer combo. So definitely keep an eye out for him. My next guy, I really like him this year. This one's a little bit more risky in my opinion, but I really like Fred VanVleet this year. Lowry's gone. He's gone to Miami. I believe that Fred VanVleet's going to be the guy. Siakam's going to be out for a lot of the season. We really don't even have a timeline for him yet. Lowry was kind of the main guy. With him gone, I think it's time for Fred VanVleet to step up. I think he has the talent to make it happen. And I love him. I think you can get him in like the third round, sometimes the fourth, just depending on your draft. And I think he's a steal. And I'm not even concerned. I know they got Dragic, and Dragic is already, there's rumors flying that he wants no part of Toronto. So really, there's not a lot of competition for Fred VanVleet, and I think he's going to be the guy.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at it, maybe not the best for category formats because the field goal percentage is going to be pretty bad. But I mean, outside of that, for in particular, just regular points leagues, which is what we were talking about here, head-to-head points leagues. I mean, that would be a spot where you could definitely go through, load up on him, because you're going to imagine that the points are pretty high. He's going to have the 3-point shot as well. And also the assists, of course, are going to be there.
In my rankings, I have him right now sitting at 19 and his ADP is 25. So depending on where you can get him, I think he's going to be a steal, and he's definitely a guy that I'm targeting. Next up, I have, it's actually going to be, I'm going to combine it to one person, but it's a backcourt in general, and that's either LaMelo Ball or Terry Rozier. I like both these guys. I think Charlotte is going to be a fun team to watch this year. I'm definitely targeting at least one of them in my draft. I'm not going for both, but I would like to have one of them. Devante Graham's gone, so the backcourt's pretty thin this year. So we're looking at, a pretty good combo. And if one of them misses time, the other one is just going to completely ball out. I'm expecting big minutes for both of them. And they're a super fast-paced team, one of the fastest-paced team in the league. They're great in transition, and the ADP is just way too low for both of these guys. So they're definitely two guys that I'm looking forward to. The ADP for LaMelo is 28. Rozier is lower. I'm not exactly sure where he's at. I'd have to scroll down, but these are just two guys that I'm not leading my draft without one of them.
So what value would you like more? Like if you're going to have to take LaMelo at the beginning of the third versus maybe you have to take Terry Rozier at the beginning of the 6th round, like obviously you'd rather have LaMelo in a vacuum over him, but price sensitive, like which would you prefer to go with?
I think that it just depends on what you've done in your prior rounds. Say you took Harden and then Beal, I'm probably going to fade LaMelo since his ADP is 28. I don't want to really go 3 guards in a row, right? I'd rather pivot to a forward or a center and then get Rozier later. So I think it really just depends how you draft. And, other way around, say you get Embiid and then Sabonis or something, then I'm probably going to go with LaMelo just to get that star power. But either way, I'm going to make sure that I leave my draft with one of them. So next up on my list, I have, and again, if you've watched our videos, he's my guy. I have SGA. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is going to be great. I don't think he's necessarily going to be as much of a boom as Beal and Fred VanVleet and maybe even Ball Rozier, just because of his ADP already being pretty high. A lot of people are high on him. His ADP is 30 right now. I think he'll finish top 25. I think, I'm banking on talent here, and that's kind of what I'm guessing on. As long as he remains healthy, he doesn't get rested. He's the main guy to own on the Thunder. He's really the only guy to own on the Thunder. When we're talking star talent wise, Lou Dort, there's a couple other good guys. The rookie might be interesting, but I think that SJ is a stud. I think that the Thunder are going to want to play their stud. They're going to want to show off their asset in case they go look for a superstar. And the only way I don't take him in the 3rd round is if a guy falls to me, right? If Sabonis, Russ, someone like that falls to me, then I'll take them over SGA. But other than that, I'm looking at SGA in the 3rd round. And if he falls to me in the 4th, that's just insane value.
I think that's actually like a good point, because if you're just looking at the Thunder from a macro sense, I think it's a really realistic expectation that they could potentially be looking to move on from SGA through trade, just knowing how this team is structured in the long term to go through and potentially continue to flip these future draft picks that they have. He is eligible for the max extension. So I think it would make sense if they want to go through, and obviously he's a player that didn't play at the end of last year. So maybe they want to go through and kind of show the league exactly what he is instead of maybe signing him to that mega extension, just going through and flipping him with another pick to get to a player that they probably prefer a little bit more. I think you could see a decent amount of minutes here, not necessarily have him worked in with a smaller load.
Yeah. One concern that I have, and I don't know how the rumors are swirling around, but I could see the Thunder making a play at Ben Simmons. And if they did, I think that SJ would be included in that deal. So that's something to keep an eye on, because SJ in Philly is not as enticing, since he would not be the first option. But as of now, I'm not going to put my trade rumor thoughts into my projections. So for right now, SJ is definitely going to be one of my booms for the year.
Maybe I am just so out of touch, which is very possible. I would imagine the SGA right now would have a considerable amount of more value than Ben Simmons. Am I wrong in saying that? Like, would Philly not have to add a Simmons?
So I think that the executives see Ben Simmons as more of an asset than we do as a public. I think that they see the raw talent. They know that he's good, and they think that there's confidence issues. I mean, just based on just rumors swirling around, I think that a swap is probably, fair value. But at the same time, do the Thunder really want to risk that? I don't know. I think that we as a public, we like to say, oh, Ben Simmons sucks. I saw him not take that dunk on Trae Young. But, at the same time, the executives are looking a little bit larger picture than that. And I do think Thunder are a team to keep an eye out for that Ben Simmons sweepstakes. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not sure. I have no insider information. So
awesome.
Let's move on. Yeah. I have one last one. This guy is actually a guy that Johnny is huge on. Johnny's definitely bigger on him than I am. I still think that he's great at his ADP. I think he's going to be really good, and it is Dante Murray. Dante Murray is going to be, he's going to be a pretty cheap buy. His ADP right now is 43. Last year he ranks 26th. You can get him in the late third, early fourth potentially, and DeMar DeRozan's gone. He's going to be the Spurs player to own, and in fantasy years sometimes it's tough to project which Spur you want, just because we know Pop likes to rest people, and he's just a different animal with who's going to ball out and who has the game script. But I think it's going to be Murray this year, and Johnny's is high to say that he thinks he's going to be a most improved player candidate. So we'll see how that goes. But if you're getting someone who was ranked 26th last year with only a 43rd ADP, with DeRozan now gone, it does make sense. So he's one guy that I'm definitely going to be targeting too.
He just turned 25, and as someone who's from San Antonio, I want to root for the man. I want to root for him.
Yeah, he's going to be fun. Definitely a nice grab if, late in the third. If he drops you in the fourth, even better. So
awesome. Well, I think that should be it. Make sure y'all go use promo code FLOCK on Underdog Fantasy. Get this draft guide. I promise you want to check it out. And once you do that, make sure you shoot a DM to Fantasy News and Brews on Twitter. You can find that in the description of the video, and telling them that you signed up for Underdog Fantasy, made that $10 deposit with promo code FLOCK. That way you can get into some fantasy basketball drafts this year, and then send them the email that you signed up with. That way we can get you that draft guide out ASAP. Just need to confirm with that email. I think that should be it. Garrett, do you have anything else?
No, I got nothing else. Just shoot us that DM and we'll get you the draft guide.